candidacy and presidency. It was our responsibility to provide leadership around this question. Otherwise, the people would have been left absolutely defenseless in the face of this most insidious imperialist attack. Whatever the initial negative response of the masses, our continued leadership among the people and the necessary ruthless policies of U.S. imperialism in crisis under Obama, with Obama at his helm, will ultimately contribute to the ability of the people to rise up against imperialism from a stronger position than before. And it's really interesting because recent polls show that the majority of African people are opposed to Obama's wars of aggression that's happening out there in the world, and which is a really important development because there was this real delirium that existed in our community, and if Obama said it, Obama did it, it was all right. But increasingly people, partially because there is an opposition, partially because everybody did not get on board the Obama train, partially because somebody did stand up in August of 2008 and say, what about the black community, Obama? Partially because we have had led demonstrations, had conventions, and participated and with ALD criticizing Obama and helping to raise consciousness, and partially because events in history and people's lives have helped them to understand that more and more people are getting off of the Obama bandwagon, and that's positive, and the crisis of imperialism requires that. Mm-hmm. So the tradition, back to the paper, the tradition of organized practical resistance that characterized the last magnificent period of struggle in the 1960s has been relegated to a past only conjured up for the purpose of abstract celebrations of poorly recorded, seldom correctly analyzed and understood glories of the past. Without the leadership of the party, what remains of the African liberation movement has succumbed to political and ideological stagnation that often follows the defeat of a revolution. When repression sets in and crushes the revolutionary trajectory, what is left is often a caricature of revolution, simply careerism, or happily being in the movement, occupying space without an agenda for the revolutionary capture of power. The revolutionary essence has been removed or diluted to meet the legal requirements of the day. Even many would-be revolutionaries have learned to speak this new language of non-struggle struggle and muted revolution. This is how the movement has learned to express itself. This has become a fundamental weakness, making it difficult to recognize, respond to, and participate in genuine revolutionary politics. We of the African People's Socialist Party are confident that we know the way forward. Our organizational capacity is growing, and we are capable of answering the questions confounding both the imperialist ruling class as well as the revolutionaries struggling to advance during this imperialist crisis. The 6th Congress of the African People's Socialist Party is occurring at a time that the presence of our party is sorely needed by Africans and the laboring masses of the world. It is a time when the world seems to be adrift and in turmoil, unleashed from its political, ideological, and economic moorings. The 2010 5th Congress of our party, occurring under the slogan "One People, One Party, One Destiny," laid a solid foundation focusing on organization and capacity building. The last Congress has guided our subsequent work to this point and gives us the confidence with which we enter our 6th Congress and this historical moment. Following the days of democratic discussions and resolutions at the 5th Party Congress, we have temporarily brought all of the party organizations and offices under the direct leadership of the office of the chairman through the creation of an ad hoc One People, One Party, One Destiny committee. It is through this ad hoc committee that we have initiated a party and movement-wide campaign under the same title that has the responsibility of creating protocols and pursuing implementation of the Congress resolution and mandates. Today, our party is one of the fastest growing, most effective revolutionary organizations in the world. We are grounded in England, several cities in Germany, France, Sweden, and Belgium in Europe. We are actively working in West Africa, particularly in Sierra Leone, and we have growing ideological and political influence and bases in Southern and Eastern Africa. Party organizers are active in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, and we are growing within the U.S., while our organizing efforts are not yet keeping up with our political and ideological influence among Africans and others in Canada. This growth of the party will contribute to the definition of revolution during this period. For the past 20 years, the inability of the Soviet Union to live up to its Marxist commitment to socialism and the Chinese Communist model being hamstrung by a world capitalist economy resting on a foundation of parasitism, or what Karl Marx called primitive accumulation, it has been the frightening specter of Islam that unites many of the oppressed of the world in general opposition to imperialism. This is because the areas of the world where Islam is most concentrated are also areas of impoverished masses suffering from imperialism that since the time of the so-called Christian holy wars of the Crusades in the Middle Ages, have understood and defined their oppression in religious terms. Now, through the party's presence and growth internationally, African internationalism provides us the opportunity to give a generalized materialist-based leadership of the African Revolution that will guide and unite the struggles of Africans and the oppressed the world over. The existence and work of the African People's Socialist Party and all the work that we do stemming from this conference spell the death of imperialism, something we can say with sublime confidence. So that effectively was the first chapter. We went through the entire first chapter of the political report to the Congress. I am pleasantly surprised that we made it.
Yes, sir.
That's not too bad. So I know that in terms of the schedule that we have here for this process, that we are to have a break that's at I think at what, at a
12.
At 12.
You're 5 minutes early.
So I'm 5 minutes early. So so what I would like to do though is to say that I think it's really the one point that we really want to make here is that one of the a critical missing element in terms of its influence today is numbers of people and numbers of organizations committed to actually overturning the social system. Many people are busy. There's a lot of different organizations engaged in single issue questions, you know, Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant being examples, but there are other kinds of things. I did an interview on yesterday. Somebody was talking about the government shutdown. Of course, my response is it wasn't shut down long enough, or most effectively or permanently. But that's the thing is that people are interested in a lot of questions, but the question that confronting us is all this work, all this struggle toward what ends? And for us, the end has to be the revolutionary capture of political power, the struggle to position ourselves to be more capable of waging struggle that will result in the unification, the liberation and unification of Africa. Central question, the liberation and unification of Africa and African people around the world. And that's what the political party is about. That's one of the things that makes this party so significant.